saw all walls differently, knowing that they were controlled by Einstein's computer. But this, I wish Einstein had planned out better. I had to pass through Mona's class to get to the theater. I didn't feel like explaining why I was expelled to die though. What was that map I saw in this thing? Maybe I could find a way around Mona's classroom. I flipped the medallion again to activate the GPS. I couldn't figure out the lines. I thought through what we learned in our history classes about maps and how to read them. Then I noticed a dot in the live picture. I swayed to the right. The dot followed. I swayed to the left. The dot did the same. Am I the dot? And this line is the hallway. I searched on the map for where I knew the theater was in relation to where I was. There. I poked the screen as I saw a picture of the theater space. The words, calculating routes, appeared on the screen. Then it gave me a list of different ways I could get to the theater. Perfect. Which one would get me past Mona's class? It chose a route for me. The words, start navigation, appeared on the screen. I poked the screen again and an arrow popped up in front of the dot. I followed the arrow. Up the hall, closer and closer to Mona's classroom. Before I reached the classroom, the arrow pointed me to walk upward. I needed to climb to the ceiling in order to avoid Mona's classroom. Easy. I leaped to grab a pole just above my reach, pulled myself up. When I was on top of the pole, I saw a sliding door right above me. The arrow pointed to a metal cube that looked as though it could be the opening to an attic space. I pushed and pulled, but it wouldn't budge. The key. It was for the theater door, but the theater door was sealed shut in the same way. I tried swiping the ruby along the left-hand side of the door. The door opened without a hitch. I pulled myself up into the ceiling space. It was a tunnel I had never known about. Tall, just as tall as Columbus's doorway. Even digits could easily walk this tunnel. I followed the arrow as it led me through the ceiling of Kosho. I heard a familiar voice speaking below me. It was Castor.
We evolved from those days believing in science. We have mythology. We don't need philosophy, physics, biology, chemistry, and so on.
I peeked through a nearby vent. It was Columbus's office. Castor paced before Columbus's desk. Columbus pushed away an hourglass from his desk. He sat on it where the hourglass was.
You don't believe in science?
No. Yes, I do believe in science, but I believe that it once existed to describe to early man how the world worked around him, but it was just a basic form of mythology.
I listened closer, intrigued by the conversation at hand. Castor seemed to have stumbled upon the same truths I had. Or maybe it was just that great minds think alike. I had a similar conversation with Goose, the librarian, just the other day. We're taught mythology in school, but there is a controversy among some churches who believe that science should be taught in school alongside mythology. Some people can't reconcile the two. Science, being more primitive, is discarded as stories that townsmen dreamt up to pass the time before the invention of the internet. But there has to be something to science if science led to the invention of the internet. Maybe, to them, science was exactly what mythology is to us. Maybe we just don't understand the language of science. Maybe the meaning was somehow lost in translation, and all we know of it is its failures. For all we know, our mythology could be their science, just in another language. These ancients had technology that I couldn't even begin to imagine before today. What if their science went on to even surpass our mythology? It's a far-out idea. But how else would you explain the advanced technology that they had? Aliens?
These scientists were not so basic.
But this is what I was taught by you.
Not Not everything you are taught is true. You were trained. Just as the scientists of the past, you were trained. You were trained, and so were they. They were taught.
To believe! My apologies, sir.
You're becoming quite the magician, Castor. Quite the master of deception. Explain to me how you constructed your latest. The one where you teleport and appear in every seat of the house at once. How do you multiply, my son?
Oh, you don't know that one?
They were referring to Castor's last performance. Castor appeared to everyone in front of each one of their seats in a ghostly image. When I saw it, I thought it was pure magic. But now, knowing what I learned this morning, I understood what technology he used.
You've been collaborating with Einstein.
I thought of the idea on my own. It's my trick. I just used some mythology that I had been meditating on. I came up with the idea to use light to project an image. Einstein helped me turn the image around, but it was a group effort, but originally it was my idea.
I couldn't help but think of the ancients and of humankind. How many times in our existence have we thought we were discovering knowledge for the very first time, when in fact we were rediscovering lost knowledge?